Hey guys, it is Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And I'm super excited to be here today. I have something super cute we're going to create, super duper cute. So tomorrow, December the 4th, is National Cookie Day. So I always joke because one of my dogs loves cookies. So we call her Cookie Monster. So I think that this is a totally appropriate card to make in our house. I love homemade cookies. And tomorrow I think that maybe I'm going to have to bake some cookies is what I'm thinking. So, like I said, tomorrow's National Cookie Day. So I thought we would make a super cute card. So this is the card I'm going to create today. There's some fun techniques in here and stuff like that. There will be a recipe sheet for you in my weekly newsletter, which goes out on the weekend. So if you've not subscribed to my newsletter, I did add the link above in the description, and below it's a pinned comment. But basically, hey Trudy, you can find it on my blog also. So if you go to www.chrisscreativelife.com/newsletter, you can sign up for my newsletter, or you can read all the fun things on my blog. So Trudy is joining us from Maryland. So today is super chilly outside, so I am super happy to be sitting in here and creating. It was like totally a shock. I was away. My mom's a snowbird, so I was taking her down south, and it was actually nice when I was there, which doesn't normally happen. Apparently, I normally bring the bad weather to Arizona. I actually joked, everybody jokes with me down there that they heard I'm coming and then they know the bad weather is coming. So literally I said I maybe redeemed myself with this trip because I was worried that they were going to start putting a sign at the entrance or like the exit when you come off the airplane with my picture on it and tell you not to let me come in. Like I've had some crazy, crazy weather when I've been there, but this week, the week that I spent down there with her was actually quite lovely. It kind of cooled off towards the end, but that's okay, because it's nothing in comparison to what I have outside. When I left, actually, when I got back even, there was no snow on the ground. Now there is some snow, and it's blowing. So I'm going to add my desk in here. If you guys have any questions as we go, make sure to add them into the comments. Depending on where they are coming from, sometimes I can see them and sometimes I can't. But I will come back after and answer any questions you guys might have. But I just thought that this would be a little bit of trivia for you, or an interesting fun fact. I just released my Marbled Excellence scrapbooking workshop, and I realized that the papers that I picked to create my card coordinate. So how is that for like matchy-matchy, as I always like to say. So I'm going to add my desk in here, and we're going to turn on some more lights and we'll get started. Like I said, if you're interested in like the supply list and the measurements, it will be in my newsletter this weekend. I'm going to turn up a little bit of this light over to the side and we will get started. So like I said, we're going to do some fun ink techniques here today, and the measurements are all on the sheet and they'll be easy to get after. If you have any trouble, just say newsletter help in the comments and I will come back and help you out. So this is the card I'm going to create and give to somebody for National Cookie Day. Maybe I'm going to actually even need to put it on top of like a plate of cookies. That would be a good idea. So it says, we go together like milk and cookies, and then inside it says perfect pair. So like I said, I've got all my pieces cut, but I've not done anything to anything. I've grabbed my embellishments and I've cut my pieces of paper exactly the same. So when I saw it was National Cookie Day tomorrow, that's what made me think of this perfect pairs stamp set. So it is like a standalone stamp set. So you have to fussy cut it, but they're literally like super easy images to fussy cut. But I thought it was super cute. So that is obviously what I picked to use for my National Cookie Day card. I have some embellishments. We'll get to those. I need to get out my pieces here. And we're going to start because I actually am going to create this background layer here. We're going to stamp that cookie, and then I'm going to do some watercolor painting in the background, and then we're going to splatter it. So like I said, you don't need to keep track of anything along the way. It's all in the sheet that'll come out on the weekend. But so here is, and I just used for my background just a piece of white willow because we're not doing a ton of watercoloring. If you want to watercolor more or play with like lots of water, then I would worry about using watercolor paper. We're not going to do that today. It's just a little bit of water, like enough to just be in my spray pen. So I did stamp the images for my card with Memento and set them aside to dry because I'm going to color them with my blends. So we're just going to move these to the side, and I did stamp a couple extras just in case I need them or I make a mistake or all of those fun things. But so, like I said, we just have a piece of white willow here. And I'm going to start with creating my background. And I loved this cookie, right? Like, so the little chocolate chips are actually like hearts. So I stamped the background with the cookies with Basic Beige. Just going to move that to the side. And I just wanted to kind of create like a fun little whimsical background. You could also turn this really easily into like a tag to put on like a plate of cookies or something. And I'm going to stamp off the edge so that they're not all perfect. And I'm going to try and remember to turn it every once in a while. And because you don't want all your hearts going in the same direction. And just try and leave approximately the same amount of space between them. I also do want the space because I'm going to, like I said, watercolor in the background. So you could do darker if you wanted. This is Basic Beige, and I kind of wanted it to lighten up a little bit. Like it'll dry back lighter. So you can see here more the color because I didn't want it to like scream cookies. I just want it to kind of be part subtle in the background, right? So who has a favorite kind of cookie? I had to think about that before I posted that question. And I would say, whoop, let me ink that up. I think that chocolate chip cookies and shortbread cookies are my favorites. So we're obviously going to make these into like Valentine's Day chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so, okay, I'm not going to. I was going to get a wipe, but I don't see one. And of course, I forgot to get my chamois, like my glass mat chamois, wet before. So we will just use this one. So I'll just clean it up. And the nice thing, right, is that you can really easily overstamp with the glass mat underneath and not worry about making a big, huge mess. Except for normally, I have like my little chamois that goes with my glass mat. Normally off to the side wet. So that was basic beige. So now we're going to do some fun watercoloring in the background. And also super handy to have the glass mat here. So I'm going to do some pretty in pink. So the colors that I tried to pick up some of the colors from the Marbled Excellence DSP because it's super pretty. And if you haven't actually seen the DSP, it's pretty. There on one side, it's like you can tell hand created marble effect. And on the other side is like a pattern. So this stripe is on one side, but on the other side, it's marbled. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pretty in pink onto my glass mat. And then I'm going to add some water. Oh, that's a lot I got, but that's okay because I also need it for the inside. So I will try and not get the top part wet. So I'm going to actually add quite a bit of water. And I just like, this was the fun part, right? I love just getting like messy. So I am going to messily or be messy in the background and just paint between my cookies. And like I said, I don't want it to be perfect at all. And then I tapped color into also the like heart-shaped chocolate chips. And lots of the card is covered up, right? So you don't really have to worry about being too perfect. And depending on how much water you add, right, you'll get either stronger ink or lighter ink. And this is, like I said, just white cardstock because it's not enough water that I really have to worry about it. And hopefully it will dry off quickly enough that I don't have to bring out my heat tool because that can be noisy. So I'm almost like scribbling with my water brush. I had to actually look at it to remember the name. That's a sign it might have been a little bit since I've done a live video. I had to do some recording in the last couple of days, and I don't know, words were not coming very easily to me. It makes me remember that you kind of have to stay on top of filming and doing lives to like practice until keep practicing. So like I said, it's just kind of super messy into the background and it will dry lighter, right? So, and then I just tapped the color very loosely onto the hearts. Right, during the day I only talk to the dogs, so they don't talk back yet. They're not that well trained, so sometimes maybe I get funny words into my head. So like I said, you can just use a piece of cardstock in the background if you don't want to go to all this trouble, but I thought it turned out super cute. And this one will probably still be a little bit darker while we're on live because it'll dry more and more and get lighter. You could also, if you wanted, do the whole thing like that, right? Color all your chocolate chip cookies, etc. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. We're going to give it a second to dry. It's not very wet, but then we're going to splatter it But while we're waiting, I'll do the inside because I have this pretty in pink here, right, on my glass mat. So I want to use it. Oh, there we go. While it's still there. And I think I maybe have one baby wipe left in there so I can clean up after. Okay, so for the inside, I did do just like a halo of the pretty in pink, and then I splattered around the edge. So I'm just going to use this ink that we have extra there. And I'm just going to ink blend around the edge. Then this way, if I do all these things now, then I can just clean up that surface, right? One time. So, like I said, I love the mat for all these fun techniques. It just makes cleanup so easy. So, there we go. So maybe we will just add a little bit more up here. You could also add it to the edge of your front piece if you wanted. I am not going to though because I didn't do it in my original. Oh no, my baby wipe's not wet. Well, that's okay. The package must have been left open while I was gone. And this is like the last one, so it's not so bad. Okay, so then I wanted to splatter. You can splatter with your ink pads or whatever you would like, but I thought I wanted to do a little bit of splattering with early espresso because that's kind of like the darker cookie cutter color, right? So I just need to get the pink out of my water brush. So I'm just going to spray some water on it and clean it off. And then I'm just going to use like my Stampin' Write marker for splattering. There we go. With my water brush. So I'm going to take the brush end and I'm just going to make myself a little puddle. You can also do this on a block. Now I just want like a little tiny bit of water so that I can splatter with it. That is not a tiny little bit, but let's just see here. And I'm just doing it on the inside around the edge where I did also the ink distressing. And then I'm going to splatter it on the front too. So just super subtle. I just wanted it kind of not so quite white in the background. Let's add a little bit more ink here. There we go. That's kind of what I was looking for. And I can literally just add enough water that I'm like not even really picking up ink anymore. See how handy a little. And these are just like a reusable like microfiber cloth that I always just have. I have like a little pile sitting in my office almost like the same as wet wipes in a little like pull out thing, because they come in quite handy, especially because I always forget to go to the sink before I start. Okay, so I'll clean that out a little bit better after, but if you're going to leave it for a while, make sure to reform the tip, right? So that next time you go to use it, it's not all mushed up or like spread. So even when you wash it, if you wash it with soap and water and then you're going to put it on the side of your sink to dry, make sure that you reform your tip before and then lay it down to dry, and it will reform itself properly. Okay, so we have our front background ready to add to the front of the card. And now we're just going to finish the inside first while this continues to dry. So on the inside, I did stamp. We're going to see how long that takes to fall off the edge of my desk. With Early Espresso. I just need a sip of water. I also seem to have come home with like a cough. Just a little annoying. So maybe we'll do all our stamping at the same time. So you can see here, we're going to stamp on the inside. And then, because I said, right, I did this stamping beforehand so we can color. I'll actually also stamp the We Go Together like at the same time. So here are all my pieces. So this needs to be stamped. And I did just like tap down a little bit of Pretty in Pink in the background. So this is just what's left on my brush from doing the edging. And I did put a little bit in the back of the circle too that we're going to put the milk and cookies on. Just so that they weren't like stark white. It's kind of like the same reason that I added the splatter, right? So the Pretty in Pink is really quite light, so you're probably not going to see it, but it is back there. So, and like I said, I just used what I had left on my brush. So here is my sentiment on my block, perfect pair. And like I said, I did stamp it with Early Espresso. I found another spot on the other side. I can have things balanced. I think I need to add like one little shelf that I can pull out for extra space. So I'm kind of doing it about 1/3 of the way from the top, right, to, I don't want it right in the center. So just like that. Okay. And then for the front, we have this little circle. You guys, I made it a long time, almost 20 minutes sitting down. I'm just going to center this. There we go. Okay. So I will cover this up. And the inside is all finished, right? So it would also look cute. There's a little tiny smiley face on the stamp set. Right here, you could do that right underneath the perfect pair. Or there's lots of stamp sets that have like hearts that would be really cute on the inside also. So, but let's put the inside together because we have all the pieces ready to go. And I did do crumb cake as the base and then real red as my red color. So, and I just did a skinny little border and it just matches the front. So, like I said, all the measurements will be in my newsletter. It's like a download. So, there we go. And the little, you can just see the little splatter around the outside. Okay, so then on the front, I do have, again, a piece of real red. And then I'm going to add my piece that we watercolor. And then I can set about coloring my little cookies and milk. Okay, so this is just a little bit wet, but that's okay. I'll just add some extra adhesive because you guys don't want to listen to my heat tool. It's actually not bad. The one I have is kind of quiet. It's the Ranger one, but there we go. So even this would just be like a super cute card, right, with the sentiment on it. So then for our background, I have this little striped piece. And see there, you can see some of the marbled paper. I don't know. I'm like very clumsy today. I'm not really sure what is going on. Okay, and I'm just kind of equal spacing it around the edge there. And then I have this little heart piece. And on the background, the marble is more red. Like, that's the fun part, right? So the marble for the Marbled Excellence goes like, there's some reds and some pinks. And it was super fun to use in a scrapbooking workshop. So there we go. So that's how we're going to start. And I can actually adhere my little scallop circle. So when I went looking for a scallop circle, I actually pulled it from the Round We Go dies because that's a nice size little circle. So I'm going to put this one down and then I'll get to some coloring. And I did like just cookie colors for my coloring. This I'm going to pop up on some dimensionals. These are small ones, but I've got some stuff around the outside. And so when I'm going to do this, I'm going to actually add them just to the middle so that I can tuck my cookies and stuff underneath. Okay, and then I want the big dimension. There we go. So I have this piece too, and I actually pop that up. And same thing, I'm going to add them into the middle so that then I can tuck my things underneath. Because you can see I use some gold thread on here too. The twisted gold thread is like my literal favorite these days. Okay, so here we go. I have this one here. So you could also obviously use this and swap out anything. It doesn't have to be a cookie. I just picked cookies, right? Because it's a National Cookie Day tomorrow. Okay, and we'll go probably about there. So then I picked 3 cookies and 1 jug of milk. So, like I said, I do have an extra cookie here. And this is not crumb cake. That is smoky slate. Let's grab crumb cake. There we go. Okay, so the colors I used were crumb cake, pretty and pink, right? Because I wanted to bring in the colors. I used balmy blue for shading the milk, and then real red for the straw. So I'm just going to sit back down to color. So we'll do the little milk jug first because there's just one of them. So I started with my light balmy blue. And just kind of put in a little bit of color. And then I did just a little bit of dark right on the edge. And then I will go back and blend out with my lighter color. And actually, I feel like I just want a little tiny bit right here. You're not going to see a lot of it, but there, just like that. So then I just did the striped straw with the real red. So, and that is it. I didn't actually shade on the straw at all, but you totally could. Just the surface isn't crazy big, so I didn't really feel like you had to go crazy with the coloring. And so you will watch. This is like super fast to fussy cut because there's like next to nothing. And then the cookies too, right? They are, well, for starters, they're just stinking cute. And they're super easy to cut out. Because it's not like a crazy complicated shape, right? So now I have one more milk carton for later. You could add some Wink Stella if you wanted a little bit of sparkle even. But I'm just leaving a little tiny bit of white border. And I do, if I stamp this on like a big piece of paper, I do cut it out, like chop it down so that I'm not trying to manage a big piece of paper. And you'll watch, I try not to move my scissors too much and more so I'm guiding my paper with my non-cutting hand. So super cute. And like literally it's hardly any coloring, right? Okay. So then for the cookies, I did them all the same. So I used crumb cake and pretty in pink. And so I went with my light crumb cake and I messily colored them, right? Because our background is kind of like that too. So I wanted them to kind of match. So I'm almost like scribbling to just get some color in there. And then, so this is the crumb cake. And then I'll go in with the dark crumb cake. and just put it in spots. And I'm not really looking at the dark one as like a shade. I'm just kind of adding some dark pieces or parts. I'm tapping all the spots, the doodle lines that they already have there, and maybe adding a little bit of color, just more so on that side. And then I'll go back with my lighter one and pull it out. And after I do this, then I'll do the pink and I'll let it sit, because you have to give it some time, right, for the two to mix together. So then, same thing, I have my light and I'm just tapping it in the same way kind of I did with the when I was watercoloring the background. And then I'm just going to lay just a little tiny bit of dark on one side and blend it out. Super simple, right? Because you also don't have a crazy big space. So, and then you just literally do that 2 more times. So same thing, right? I'm going to messily scribble in my light. Not going too close to the edge because the alcohol ink will spread, right? And fill itself in. And then my dark doodles. And now they kind of look like chocolate chip cookies, which is crazy. And now I'm just going to blend the two together. There we go. And now my light and my dark. And then blend. I do love how bright the cookies are, you know, because if you did, and especially like versus the watercolored background, right? So because the marker is such a big contrast to the watercolored background, I could have done like watercolor pencil crayons, right? But that would have been like a subtler look. I could have watercolored them too. That would also be cute. Like just with your inks, I mean, not with your pencils. There's so many fun ways to color things. And I find coloring so therapeutic, like just to sit and color. I love it. It's probably why I do what I do, right? Because I can just get lost in coloring for a while. There we go. Now we've got all 3 of our cookies colored. And now my pretty in pink. Okay, so the only thing left to do is cut out the cookies. And like I said, they're super easy to cut out because they're just kind of a slightly wonky circle, right? So same thing, I'm just following the line, moving this piece of paper, not my scissors. And I'm going to pop some up on on dimensionals, and I'm going to tuck one in so that it's flat, so that the 3 of them aren't all on the same level. Right? So One will get tucked underneath. Actually, it's going to be this one because it's a little bit darker, this one. So I'm going to make that one the tucked in underneath one because it would be darker, right? Yeah, so that one is going to go there. This one will go here. This is our little milk. And then I just have my last cookie. There we go. See, they're super quick. So let's put those over on my tray. Okay, so this cookie is going to get tucked underneath so it's flat. And so, right, that's why I didn't, I like put the dimensionals kind of in the middle. So there we go. That one. And we're going to do the milk flat, and this cookie popped up. So I have this one dimensional sitting here. I needed to just put it on something. So our milk is flat, and then we'll do our little gold, twisted gold thread next. So I'll do my milk about there. And my cookie kind of hanging off the edge there. So I need my little piece of twisted gold thread for there. So I had some extra pieces left over from when I was creating the workshop that I cut too small. So we're going to use it on the card. But this is the twisted gold thread. Like I said, I love it. And I am going to just wrap it around my fingers a couple of times. And like I said, I'm just going to use the piece that I have that I already pre-cut because it is sitting here. And I just want them kind of at different lengths. And I'm going to grab a glue dot. And that's what I'm going to use to adhere it down. There we go. So I can just, where they all meet, I'm just going to tap it into my glue dot. And if I feel like that's not going to hold it, I can take my Take-A-Pick tool and add another glue dot on top. Normally I don't have a problem, but you can do that. So, and if I was going to do a whole bunch of them or a whole bunch of cards, or when I did my workshop, right, I would just put a whole bunch of them in a row on my glue dots. And then I just have them sitting there and I can add them as I want. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck it right there. And this one I also popped up on dimensionals. Let's use this little bit that I have here. And maybe I'll go like that. Here we go. And I'm going to tuck this just, I think, the same underneath my milk. There we go. So now I have the heart sequins, and I will add those. So I'll do I'm going to do a big one here just because the spacing on my stamping is slightly different. And I'm going to do a medium-sized one in here. It just fits better. And then a small one. And I actually think, I didn't do it on my original, but I think, remember how I was saying you could also stamp the smiley face? I think I'm going to just add a sequin on the inside. Just like that to finish it off. There we go. So that's what I've got for you guys today. So here's the one I made beforehand. This one will dry back a little bit, but if you want it lighter, just add more water to your ink, right? When you're doing the watercoloring technique with your ink pad. And if you want a little bit brighter, then add more ink, right? So I hope that you guys all have an awesome National Cookie Day tomorrow. And maybe you will make one for yourself or a tag to attach to a plate